Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 6 of Colorway Wednesday. I'm super excited for this episode. I'm always excited. But this episode, we have just me. Don't worry, we have a special guest next week. But this episode, we have this coloring sheet, cutesy, I know, by Britnee Longnecker. I believe that is how you pronounce it. I could be wrong. Today we're going to use my Ohuhu markers. If you haven't joined me previously, whenever I talk about them, it's literally just markers that are based in, I'll call it like it is. They're alcohol-based markers because, fun fact, even something that's typically viewed as an adult substance is actually a form of making art. Because it makes these pretty colors that work really well on the paper. Today I have printer paper, actually. I know in previous episodes, whenever I've done my Ohuhu markers, I've done like a fancier type of paper, but I just wanted to go ahead and show y'all what it would be like if I didn't use that paper. And like, oh, if you don't have that, if you don't have that available to you, what would these markers end up looking like? So I thought that would be fun to do. And also, today's probably going to be a shorter episode. Not for like any reason in specific, but I just feel like that is highly likely. Fun fact with these Ohuhu markers, put something down if you use any sort of marker like this. Like, I have this cute little thing of cardstock that I use for Colorway Wednesday now. That's literally just, if I think I'm going to make a mess on the dining room table, I will put that down because that would be preferable for me to not do. So, like I said, this will probably be a shorter episode, primarily just because I'm not fully sure what all to talk about, honestly. School's been super hectic. I honestly did not actually post today. Fun fact, I try to post 3 times a week. And I just couldn't think of anything for today, and I'm in the middle of prepping my honors thesis, and so I said, you know what, let's just not do that today. And I regret nothing. Actually, low-key regret it, but that's fine. Giving myself a day of a break will not break everything I have built so far. But, yeah. Final semester of college, very exciting. I believe I'm on week 6 out of a 16-week semester. So after tomorrow, because I have no classes on Fridays, I have only 10 weeks left of college, which is low-key insane to think about, because if you think about it, it's like, okay, well, I have 10 weeks left. I take not 4. I have 4 days of classes, and so I literally only have 40 days of classes left. It's going to be really funny if I did that math wrong, by the way. I don't think I did, but I wanted to acknowledge it just in case I did. So yeah, super fun, super cutesy. But I don't know, man, graduating, that's a crazy thing. I remember whenever I was getting ready to graduate high school, it was a very different feeling because I knew I was going to college. So I was like, okay, so I'm getting done with this just to kind of go somewhere else and learn other things. But now I find myself here in my final year, not planning on continuing education after this, at least for the time being. I would prefer not to, personally. But you know, it is what it is. Sorry, my phone is buzzing. Okay. But let me be a good host and not look at my phone. But yeah, so that's super cool and exciting. I'm really looking forward to graduating, because then also that means we are just one step closer to Princess of America Nationals this summer, which will be super exciting. I'm really stoked. I get to see one of my sister queens tomorrow. Technically not like, it's like system sister queens, I guess. I kind of just see everyone in my system. I was like, yeah, okay, we're sister queens. I know that's technically not the way it works, but it's the way I choose to have it work. And so what I say goes. But it'll be super fun and super cute. I'm genuinely so stoked. But I'm working my college's, what do you call it? Miss America local. A lot of universities will have a local pageant, like a Miss America organization local pageant, where you can, obviously, once you win the title, you get to compete on behalf of your school at Miss Oklahoma or whatever state you're in, right? But for me, obviously, it's Miss Oklahoma. So I'm really excited. I got to help with it last year, actually. I got to be backstage, which was super fun. But I'm just so stoked to get to be in that environment tomorrow. It'll just be really fun. I love also just experiencing other pageant systems because I have only experienced one NAM state pageant and then POA, which is fantastic, great vibes, and phenomenal experiences. But also, I've only experienced those. So it's always really fun getting to work a very different thing. I'm working like VIP seating, stuff like that, which will be fun because I do technically know one of the competitors. Well, that's more, I know of her. I don't think I've ever actually, like, other than in rehearsals now, spoken with her very much. She seems super cool. I mean, all of them do, but I'm really excited. It's crazy to me that it's happening on a Thursday, though. More power to everyone. I'm just like, that's a wild concept to me to be like, okay, you got crowned. Go home. Go to class in the morning. Like, oh, goodness. Which, don't get me wrong, that's like POA, if you don't know, typically our final shows are on Sunday. So typically, that's exactly what happens, but I purposely planned it. Arkansas Ozark, one of the reasons I competed rather than going appointed, other than the practice from, competing again, was the facticum. I don't know why I'm laughing. One of the reasons I was competing again, was primarily because I was like, oh, this is right before our week-long Thanksgiving break. That's fantastic. I don't have to worry about this. Like, I don't have to worry about going to my 8:30 a.m. That's on Monday, Wednesday. Like, I can just go and then go home and then relax, which was really nice, honestly. It was a really fun weekend. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that because I'm sure you can assume. And of course, I'm going to say that because, yeah, I quite like POA, but, that's just personal preference. But it's been a really weirdly, it's been an off week. The theater department I'm a part of is pretty small, so I feel like pretty much everyone knows everyone. And just like everyone, like, not everyone, but a lot of people I've talked to have just been like, either are off this week or have told me they've been having a really off week or a really rough week. And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, what is happening? I just don't get it. I hate that for us. But, as I'll always say, it is what it is, and that's okay. But I've been working a lot on my honors thesis. It's been a very long process. It's been a bit much, which is okay, obviously, but it's been a lot of emailing back and forth with people, trying to figure out how to work around certain systems because certain things aren't working like they're supposed to, which is a lot of fun. I'm really excited because honestly, I'm hoping, depending on what all I do, I maybe see about live streaming my honors thesis on either my performance account that doesn't exist yet or my pageantry account. We'll see. But I think it'd be really cool because my thesis kind of goes, it doesn't fully go hand in hand with my platform, but it definitely like gets the same point across, you know? So we shall see how that goes. But Lord only knows. It's been a lot of research, a lot of reading, some writing. I mean, I find writing like papers and stuff like that quite easy. So typically a lot of writing for me is like 6 or more pages. It just depends on the topic. But I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of like what all we can talk about because like I don't want to spoil. It's not like a surprise per se, but I don't want to like spoil what my honors thesis is going to be all about because I think it'd be fun to keep people waiting in suspense. Let's see. It's really funny because I'm coloring a coloring page that the whole like it literally says like color outside the lines. That's what makes you unique. And then I'm getting not frustrated, but I'm getting sad whenever I'm not perfectly coloring inside the lines. But that is literally the point. That's okay. Minor details. But hey, making progress. We are good to go. I'm like really shocked that we're on week 6 of Colorway Wednesday already. It's super nice. I'm really glad we've been able to do this every week. But it's crazy to me that it's been 6 weeks since we started and the fact that I've done this 6 times already. I mean, technically, if we want to get really technical, the first time doesn't fully count because there was so many technical difficulties and I tried to live stream and then realized I couldn't and then filmed it like 30 times. Not really. I filmed it 3 times, I think. And just every time it got shorter and shorter because there just kept being issues. And I was just giving up, which I think was valid. But luckily, we're getting our system figured out. Hopefully, somewhere along the way, we're going to like get a better camera and a better microphone, start upping the quality. I know I've talked about this before, but I really do want to get a second camera where you can see exactly what I'm working on. Because I think that would be super fun. Because then I can also explain a little bit about the technique I use behind everything. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because of my classes and whatnot, but I think that genuinely everybody has the ability to create art. It's just technique that gets people. Like, I don't know. We talk a lot in the theater department about our acting technique and like figuring out what exactly it is that our techniques are really strong in, right? Like what exactly our strongest factor is, what is it that we do really, really well, what sets us apart from other people, like what makes us us, which is super cool. But that's got me thinking about the fact that I'm like, I started getting like super into drawing in 2020. Surprise, surprise. It's almost like we were in a lockdown or something. Crazy. But so I started drawing a lot, like digitally then. And during that time was whenever I realized that like I was drawing a lot and I was like posting a lot on my art Instagram account and I was looking at art Instagram accounts all the time. And so that kind of made it where not my like taste per se, but like I'm trying to figure out the right word for it. My standards, there we go. My standards for what I made were higher than what I was capable of because I was looking at techniques that I didn't know how to do. And so I think it would be so cute to like find a way to be like, yes, look, here is my technique. Here's how I do this. Here's how I color this. Here's how I paint these, like stuff like that. I think 7D still works. Oh yeah, that does. I need to get replacement markers for some of these still, but also I use them sometimes. I make birthday cards and stuff like that, but I just don't use them enough to be like, oh yes, let me order 2 replacement markers. Because quite frankly, it's like, okay, well, why would I, okay, you know? But that's okay. It's actually like warming up here in Oklahoma, which is quite nice. If you know me, you know I try to like the cold. I like the vibes that come with the cold. I love this like sweaters. Obviously, I'm wearing one right now. I love sweaters. I love like hot chocolate and like getting cozy in front of a fire and then just doing whatever it is I want to do that doesn't require me to go outside. Because fun fact, my body does not regulate temperatures too great. So whenever it's really cold, it really hurts. And that is okay. But we stay trucking. But yeah, it's like warming up. Like it's really weird though, because like since I have class some days at 8:30, I'm in this odd, like not limbo per se, but I'm in this odd spot where it's like, okay, well, it's 40 degrees in the morning when you're walking to class. Okay, great. Now you're out of that class and now it's like 65 degrees out. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't feel as necessary or justified to, like wear really heavy clothing, but also I want to because I get cold. It's so silly. I genuinely picked this coloring page because I was like, this will be more simple because it's like words. No. I'm also making it less simple, so that would be part of the problem, wouldn't it? Maybe I'm the problem. I got this really cool experience earlier today where we got to talk, me and a bunch of classmates. We got to talk with a bunch of the cast of the traveling Broadway performance of Hadestown, which if you don't know, Hadestown is a remarkable musical. The off-Broadway soundtrack is arguably one of my favorite pieces of art in this entire world. That being said, I'm not too keen on the Broadway soundtrack, which is a hot take, and I am aware, and I'm okay with that. I accept it. I just, it is what it is, but it's still beautiful. But it was so cool getting to talk with these actors because all of them were like, one of them graduated in 22, and then there was 4 of them, but like all 4 of them graduated 2022 or more recently, which was wild sitting there in this talk back being like, oh my gosh, you're like maybe a year older than me. Like if even, like that's wild to think about because oftentimes it's so easy to forget whenever you're studying art that once you graduate, you get to actually like be a professional and continue to make art. It's like, it's just really easy to forget that whenever you're like, okay, well, I got this monologue to memorize and I got to memorize this song and oh, I also have this scene to do and actually I have to do this other monologue as well. And then, oh, okay, I have a presentation in this class now. That's great. That's what a lot of this year has been for me so far, which is okay because we're somehow actually managing to pull it off and I will take that. I am quite pleased with that. But you know how it is. Goodness. I just got like weirdly really tired. I mean, it's not weird to be really tired, but I just got like a sudden wave of like, oh my goodness. Like, girl, you're not even done with the words on the paper, let alone the funky little designs and everything. Oh, that's funny. But yeah. Anywho, back to the talk back I was talking about. Yeah, it was a super neat experience that we got. I love the fact to come we get to do stuff like that, and the fact to come our department, like, because technically we were in class, so it was my entire class went to this talk back. So I'm really thankful for the fact to come. They were like, hey, you get to go talk to / listen to a bunch of like actual professionals. And I'm really bummed because I didn't actually ever get to see the show. Like, I have never seen Hadestown live. But like I said, I've liked it since, to be a hipster, I've liked that show since before it was on Broadway. If you don't know the difference between on and off Broadway, that's fair. Off Broadway is typically where a lot of Broadway shows get their start. Oftentimes, shows do not just pop up on Broadway because it's so expensive and it's hard to like get all the materials and everything. So a lot of things will do off-Broadway runs, workshops, stuff like that, to really like perfect what they want to try to get funders for. And like producers, actors, like they want to get people really interested in. So my brother introduced me to Hadestown when I was in like, I was pretty young. I can't think of exactly when the like Broadway cast recording came out because it was obviously before that. But I used to play Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword constantly. And I was too scared of fighting the bad guys whenever the music was really intense. Like, the music would really freak me out. But if there was no music, then I'd be more freaked out. So I went through a phase where like I would sit there for hours. It was like right when the Nintendo Switch port of Skyward Sword came out. Is that a port? I don't remember. I'll get back to you on that. To all the people wondering, is it actually a port? Mm-hmm. But so I was playing that, and I genuinely, no, maybe it was the Wii. Okay, you know what? Beside the point. So I was like, okay, I need something playing. What should I listen to that makes me happy? And I was like, Hadestown. The original off-Broadway Epic 3 is one of my favorite showcases of lyricism in this entire world. No one will ever be able to convince me otherwise. It is gorgeous and incredible, and I love it. So, yeah. Goodness. But yeah, it was awesome. Like, one of the people that we were talking with is a swing. Well, okay, multiple of them were, but one of them specifically that I'm thinking of is a swing, which essentially in theater, a lot of people know what understudies are. A swing is like an understudy that learns more parts than just one other part, right? So understudies are typically for principal cast members, depending on the show. So it's like, oh, okay, well, you only have to learn this one part. Now, swing has to learn multiple parts. Typically, they're a little smaller. They're not really, especially not in Broadway shows. But so one of the girls we were talking with learns, like, she has the one track. No, let me think. That's right. She knows 9 different tracks. Now, oftentimes whenever we talk about tracks, we think, oh, just like one song, right? Like a track of music. No, it's like 9 different harmonies, different parts of the song. So if one person goes down, they'll still have someone who can step in and fill that vocal area. So while it's not the exact same experience other people get, because you don't want that, it's a unique person, you want them to bring their energy into it. You're not missing like a key layer of harmonies and stuff like that. It's super cool. And it was crazy, like, listening to them all, like, how they learn their stuff, because all of them were either swings or understudies. Like, some of them were like, oh, I perform in this role, but I'm also the understudy for XYZ. So Hadestown follows the Greek myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, which, if you don't know about it, I feel like it's a pretty commonly known one, like, not just in theater, because, like, the Orpheus gets a ultimatum at some point where it's essentially he gets to bring his girlfriend Eurydice, not really a girlfriend back then, but you know what I mean. He gets to bring Eurydice back from essentially being dead. Not really, but still. But the bargain is that he can't look back and just has to trust that she's there. And if he does look back, then there's going to be a price to pay. That's, like, the main part of the story that we often, like, people often know. And Hadestown takes that character dynamic and makes it an entire show. And that's, like, the big ending of the show. And I'm going to be so real, even though I've listened to that soundtrack so many times, I don't actually know how the show ends. And I'm going to keep it that way until the day I actually get to see it, because that's going to rock. I cannot wait for that. Granted, it'll probably be in a couple of years, and that is fine. Because, yeah, like, they perform in my town tonight and yesterday. Whoa. They performed tonight and yesterday. But, like, the tickets were so expensive because we're in a small college town that doesn't typically have stuff like this. And it was only 2 nights, and it's high demand. But then they had, like, student rush tickets, but I was in class, and also it was like blah, 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 you know, all sorts of factors. But it was cool to get to, like, talk to a bunch of the actors. But yeah, I don't know. It's really neat hearing about stuff like that, because I personally would not be the fondest of doing a traveling tour of a show, just because, like, as great as travel is, I don't want to do it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to literally be, I find myself in 3 completely different states over the span of 1 week. That's just not for me personally. So it's really it's really cool hearing about these people who are so passionate and have similar dreams to mine, yet they're not afraid, like, to go traveling all the time. Like, 2 of the cast members had been with that tour since the beginning that it started, which meant 2 years. Which they did say that it was a lot more traveling this time around, like, this leg of the tour, which is fair. But it's very, very interesting, because ultimately traveling theater sounds so, like, it sounds harder than traditional stationary theater, you know, because I didn't even think about this until someone asked, but they were like, how do you adjust to a new space every night? And so they were telling us about the logistics and the fact of, like, what the crew has to do in order to make sure, like, oh, okay, because obviously they have the same set. But, you know, like, some stages are built differently. Maybe there's a pillar here that's not in other areas. Maybe the ceilings in this performance space are higher, so they're going to have to be louder. Like, all sorts of different things like that. They have to check before every single, like, performance in a new space. But then they're also going to new spaces all the time. Like, it was so cool. It was so cool. But yeah, if you haven't listened to Hadestown, I highly recommend it. I recommend the off-Broadway recording, but if you want to listen to the Broadway recording, you can, because they're also very good. But yeah, I'm not technically like a musical theater major by any means. I am a theater major who likes music. I'm actually in a musical theater scene study class right now, which has been really cool. It's really fun because I'm like, if we look at the logistics and like the nitty gritty, I'm an acting major. So we don't really do as much singing typically. So it's really fun getting to like explore that more than a lot of my acting classes do. Because a lot of my acting classes explore how to use your voice efficiently, but they don't explore, say, stuff like this. We'll see if I like this. I'm like trying a cool little design, but I don't know if I'll actually like it. That's my thing, man. Like I was saying, like, I'm not like a critic of art. I'm a critic of my art. Which, granted, that is part of how we improve as artists, right? But it's genuinely like, I'll have a vision, start executing it, realize I don't like it, and then get a new vision, and then realize it's too late to execute it because the previous attempt kind of like nerfed my ability to do that. And that is okay. I love coloring bubble letters. I don't know about you guys, but bubble letters are really cool. I'm so bad at drawing bubble letters. I don't know what it is about them, but it's like I can look at it, and typically I'm pretty good at like looking at shapes and mimicking them. But like for some reason, I don't know what it is, man, but with bubble letters, I'll look at them and try to write them down and get nothing near like what the reference photo is like, which is not as common for me, truthfully, which is okay, but it is really funny. I love the nice, crisp, solid colors that come from these markers. Whenever, you know, they're not dying, because I've used them many times over many years. Oh yeah, this is cute. Don't worry, we'll get a progress update shortly. Oh goodness, we're already 30 minutes in. That's crazy. Okay. Okay. Progress so far. I wanted to emphasize the whole coloring outside of the lines part. Not that I really needed to explain that, but I was going to say it anyway. So I figured now would be a great time. Let's see. Trying to think of what other colors will go with this palette. Let's go with a nice little like autumn leaf. Even though we're like fully entering spring right now, I think it'd be cute to have a nice little autumn leaf. I'm not a huge fall girly. Like I would actually not argue, but I would say it's my least favorite season. But I do love the colors that the leaves turn whenever it's happening. It's so fun. I just think it's so unique because like how cool is it that we have an earth that changes colors like that, you know? Like same with the sky. Like that's awesome, dude. We need to protect our earth. It's so cool. Not that that's like a key tenet of my platform or anything, but it's still important to me. Oh yeah, this rocks. Let's see. And then we go over here. We color this leaf. Or at least I color this leaf. If you're coloring along, you color whatever you want to. That is one of the really fun things about coloring is the fact of you don't have to think about the shapes. You don't have to think about what you're going to do next, really. You kind of just get to fill in what's there, you know? Which technically is kind of like, not fill in the blanks. What is it? Like the dot, paint by dots that are in every coloring book ever. Oh my gosh, as a kid, I would get so annoyed when I was looking at a coloring book that interested me and it would have activities pages. I did not like activities pages. I was like, you better not give that to me. I want to color. And if you waste some of my precious space for non-coloring, that's ridiculous. Apparently. At least it was to child me. Let me not aggressively knee my table. Oh my gosh. This is why it's good that I don't have guests join me in person for now. So I don't accidentally absolutely wreck what they're working on. Keep that over there. Oh goodness. This brown is a lot darker than I expected. Which is fine. Just a bit of a jump scare. Goodness gracious. Don't mind me going completely silent. That's another thing I need to do. I need to get copyright-free music to play in the background so then I can go completely silent and it's not absolutely terrible. I'm kidding, but still. I will probably finish up the core piece, not there's funky patterns at the top and bottom. I will probably finish those up off stream, just for time's sake, because also I'm not sure of a ton more to talk about this week. Like I said, next week we'll have a guest joining us. Hopefully if I play my cards right, we'll have a lot more guest episodes the next few weeks. So then just that way we get a lot more variety on the channel. So it's not just me sitting here going, I was going to talk about this thing. I forgot. Oh no. I don't sound like that. At least I don't think I sound like that. But I don't know. The world may never know. I'm kidding. Maybe. But it's almost the weekend. I'm quite excited because I am, like I said, it's been a weird week for everyone, myself included. It hasn't been a bad week per se, but I'm just kind of ready for the weekend. Just kind of need a break right now, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. Because sometimes you just need a little bit of a break. Nice little bit of a break. Let's see. I'm going to test this color out before I use it. Let me not use the chisel tip to test. Why would I do that? Fine point. Let's actually do it yellow. I never use yellow in things just because I can't really wear yellow. It washes me out hardcore. So I tend to gravitate away from using yellow, which is really sad because it genuinely is a really good color for stuff. But especially my digital art, most of the time I use yellow is an off brownish, yellowish, golden color because I'm drawing someone with blonde hair. Because I fear I do that a lot. Not that I just draw myself. That's not what I'm implying. Let me be clear. But whenever I would randomly just draw pictures, I love drawing fluffy hair. And just for a while there, man, before before I got like super into art, like all of my characters I would design were blonde. And I was like, girl, can we maybe not only do self-inserts? That would be cool. Other people like to see themselves in characters too, you know. But you know, it is what it is. But that being said, I have my central piece done. So I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. But here's what it looks like so far. I think it's quite fun. I really like the use of lettering in this piece, like the fact that it's very like cursive, like handwritten calligraphy style. Like the typo font, more calligraphy, and then just such a fun, like funky font that goes with the funky little borders. And again, this coloring sheet was made by Britnee Longnecker. So highly recommend checking Britnee out. Britnee has a couple of other like free pages available on her website, or I'm not sure if it's her website, but on a website called FaveCrafts. It's at the bottom right of the coloring sheet if you use that. But and wait, bonus. This is why I was talking about we should always put stuff down before we color and draw. You can't see it as well, but there's kind of just like a full-on imprint of my work from tonight, which is hilarious, but it kind of just shows you why sometimes mess is fantastic and it's a great tool in art, but also sometimes you want to lay something down to prevent your art from accidentally ruining a table that your mom bought for you. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. I shall see y'all next week with our next guest. I was supposed to say first guest. We had our first guest a while ago. I'll see you next week with our next special guest. I will announce that on Monday, probably. But stay in touch, and I shall see y'all soon. Bye.